Okay everyone, in our next exercise, I want to demonstrate some of the newer features built into Photoshop to help you create web graphics more effectively. Okay, so the first one we have here is this function called generate. So you'll see if you go under File, Generate, Image Assets, you turn that on. Okay, what it does is it creates an output folder, okay, which you can use, and all your graphics will automatically be generated in this particular folder. Okay, now already when I turn on the image assets and turn that on, it's already creating graphics. Okay, so if you look on my desktop here, I have a folder, and you can't see this, but it's called Play Prototype to Design Assets. And these are the assets that automatically got generated when I actually started to create this design. So you'll see here, I have these little icons here, I have the background graphic, and then I have a whole folder with the same graphics at 50%. Okay? Now, what this does is it allows you to work in the Photoshop mockup and automatically create the assets that you're going to use in your design. Now let me show you the way it works. It works on the layers palette. So I'm going to pull this out a little bit, make it a little bigger so we can look. You'll see here's my structure. Okay, I have a layer group called site header. Okay, and then you'll see, I want you to notice something. If you look here at this graphic, which this is the graphic on the background, okay, you'll see here, notice how it says header boykins.jpg. So any layer that you name with a extension on it, like .jpeg or .png or .gif, will automatically take that layer and generate a web graphic from it. Okay, so for example, here's the layer group site nav. You'll notice, okay, that we have two navigations here. Okay, we have the buttons on the bottom, right? So here's it's called genre nav. And you'll see all of those are named, the layer groups for them are named electronic ping, yet the layer group has two different layers in it, right? So by naming the layer group electronic.png, it's going to take that whole group and export it as a ping file. Okay. Now you'll also notice, now hip hop, R&B, indie, classical, they're all represented inside the folder that automatically gets generated on your desktop. You'll see classical, indie, okay, all these different groups, and header boykins.jpg. Okay, now this automatically gets generated for you when you actually start creating graphics. Okay, so if I wanted to, let's say, but some things aren't. For example, you'll see these links right here, right? You'll see here these links. Let me see if I can show you this here. These links on top here. Artist, playlist, reviews, news, and about. Those are graphics in my prototype, but you'll see this layer doesn't have a .png or a .jpeg after it, because in our final design, those will be text, right? So maybe, for example, here's one, play logo, right? That's this graphic right over here. You'll see if I turn this off, you see how it disappears there? Okay, so what if I want that exported as part of my group? So what I can do is I see this, and I know that this has to be either a GIF or a ping, because why? Because it has transparency in it, right? So what I can do is I can go to this layer, right? Double click it so I have the name, so I can rename it, and type .png, right? All right, and now when I give that an extension, a file extension here, if I actually look in my prototype folder, here it is right here, you'll see now, there it is right there, play logo, and it also made a 50% version. Now you're probably wondering, what's the 50% version for? Well, the scale to 50 folder holds graphics 50% smaller. So that means if I'm doing maybe a responsive design or a design for a cell phone as well as a tablet, I would need to have these graphics a little bit smaller, right? So if we look here, let's go back into Photoshop, you'll notice at the head of this layer stack, there's a graphic here, and it says default, okay, 100%, and then there's a comma, and 50% scaled at 50%. So this text, the name of this layer corresponds exactly to what's going to be outputted. So the default is going to be make these graphic 100%, and then there's going to be a folder called 50%, and it's going to scale those to fit all these same graphics to 50%. Okay, so by putting that on the topmost layer, you'll see that you have the ability to automatically generate assets from your Photoshop mockup, and as long as you separate out your layers properly, you'll be able to export all the assets you need and have them readily available for you for either making a prototype or making a full design. Okay, so that being said, this new feature is very versatile in going from the pre-production mock-up / prototype stage into the production phase, because basically you can really easily just regenerate the assets that you're going to be using on the site and be ready to go for production once you're in Dreamweaver. Now, the next part of this exercise, this is pretty easy. I put up a document in our class this week which explains all the different names that you can use for layers in order to be able to create a wide array of different types of graphics. So if you want to review that and see more details about how you can use this generate feature in Photoshop, that would be wonderful. But otherwise, I want to move on to part 2 of this and reinforce how to start putting this together in Dreamweaver. Thank you.